What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you the best material to use to cast in aluminum. Let's get right to it.
So I'm out here with the forge, and I have 4 boxes full of 4 different materials. We have grout here, flour there, play sand, and air dry clay. I have molded them all with this little mask face, and we will see how they turn out. I will say by far the clay over here was the easiest to mold. Then the sand is kind of difficult. I'm expecting that one to be the worst. It didn't turn out very well. I had to wet it down. The flour and the grout were both very similar. They're super powdery and difficult to get compacted, so I'm curious to see how they react once I pour like really heavy aluminum onto it. But so far I'd say the clay is winning, although it is the most expensive. Alright, so I didn't have enough aluminum to pour all 4 at once, but I did pour the clay and the grout. I have not looked at them yet. Judging off the pour, the clay, obviously since it's air dry, that means that it's wet, so when it came in contact with the very hot aluminum it bubbled because the water was evaporating. The mold does not look that bad though, so I'm curious to see how that looks, even though the back of it looks super jacked. So here's what the clay looks like. You know, it doesn't look too bad actually. The nose has a thing, but other than the back having a big air bubble in it, the front doesn't look bad. It looks really poopy and gross, but we'll have to see once I clean it up. And the grout is another story. The grout mold didn't really stay intact too much. Not really sure what this is gonna look like. Okay, let me pick this up. Hey, you know what? That one looks pretty good too. That's pretty surprising. I expected it to collapse a little more. But I guess we'll see really once we clean it up how good they actually look. And then we'll pour the other 2. So this is the clay and this is the grout, and I would say for sure the grout looks better. It's missing its nose, but overall it has less pop marking than the clay does because the clay had so many of those air bubbles. It's just completely scarred. So honestly, I would rather use the grout. It was more difficult to work with, but there's less chance to have a bunch of air trapped and give you this really, really dirty casting. Alright, so once again I haven't looked at these, but I'm gonna assume the flour is much better. Although it did light on fire, which I don't know why I wasn't expecting that, but I wasn't expecting. And the sand just kind of fell apart. It's looking real thin, so let's do the sand first because I have low expectations for that. And let's look at this. Yeah, it's got lots of pitting on the face. Didn't pick up the eyes, the mouth, or the nose very well. Kind of just a boring face. And let's look at the flour. This one's gonna be black. See if it's hot. It didn't really pick up the mouth or the nose or the eyes well either. So judging off of these, and it has these wrinkles on its head. I'll clean them both up, but judging off of the results so far, grout is definitely the best option. But let's go clean them up and compare them. Now that they're all side by side, you can clearly see this is the grout missing its nose. This is the clay, this is the flour, and this is the sand. By far the worst out of all of them. Which is interesting because this is what people use a lot on YouTube and the internet. They recommend using clay sand. Maybe it works better when it's lost foam casting, but it did a very bad job of capturing the detail. The flour left a weird paper texture. It looks like crinkled paper, at least to me. It also did a really poor job. And then I'd say the clay and the grout were kind of neck and neck, except for the fact that the clay left these bubbles and the grout was almost flawless. Mostly because it didn't ignite, so it wasn't producing any gases. So that helped with making it not porous or anything else. So conclusively, I'd say grout is the best, and that's my final summation for this video.